gonna snuggle up to me on camera in front of everybody?
I'm just gonna snuggle. I'm always snuggling up to you.
We're snuggling?
Yes.
So,
Close.
hi guys, we're coming on live. And I'm going to let my husband, who is also my book editor, talk about his review and his thoughts and ideas on my ebook that's coming very soon. And you want to tell them what your thoughts are about it, baby?
Well, the first thoughts are you should always have a German edit your book for whom English is his second language. Okay. Actually really good on that stuff.
He is very good, though. I mean, his English is, his grammatical English is better than mine. I'll say that.
Again, what? I'm sorry. So, when Stephanie told me she's going to write a book, or a series of books, of course my first reaction was, what? And she wrote the first draft, which was good. It was more of kind of a outline, I guess, a skeleton kind of thing, which again was good, but I was a little bit of, oh, that's gonna be the book, okay. And I did my little corrections and, turned it into some of the things into readable English. And then she gave me the second draft. And the second draft was an absolute eye-opener because...
They want to hear what you think about as far as the book, not you editing.
Was an absolute eye-opener to me. And it was an eye-opener because not only was it very personal, the things that she put in and that she reveals and lets other people in on, but she does it in a way that sets real life examples. And I think that's what I liked about the book. It comes across as very honest, and you can tell that this is not somebody who learned their craft by watching a show or reading a book or learning it from other people, but these are first-hand accounts. This is first-hand accounts. This is what I went through. These are the mistakes I made. She's very honest and open about the mistakes she made, the multiple mistakes over a long period of time. And the most important part then is she shows you how not to make those mistakes or overcome mistakes. If you're in this situation that she was in, if you're in a rut or everything is kind of, falling apart around you, what to do step by step by step. And it shows you kind of a path out of the darkness.
So as you being the husband,
yes,
we talked about this before, Rudi did not come into my life until after the 10 years of debt and horrible use of credit cards, and just really broke. When he did meet me, though, we're coming up on 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. That was around the time that I actually had started getting my finances together and I was paying myself on a payroll. But there still were some issues that we have, which we don't have anymore, but I had a lot of issues with robbing Peter to pay Paul. So I had multiple accounts that I was doing where I would take money and put it over here to cover a check and then put it back and then get charged fees. So he happened to stumble across a infamous statement from my business banking account, and I had out of control banking charges. And so
overdraft fees. Yeah, that was scary. So needless to say, a lot of these things that are in the book, while I'm reading through it and I'm editing, I was not aware of. I was aware of some of the things because we talked about it a little bit, but a lot of the stuff in detail I was not aware of. And after I came to, after passing out from shock, it was an eye-opener. It was an eye-opener because she very honestly describes how, as a young or starting business owner, entrepreneur, you can fall into all of these traps. How you can go in all wide-eyed and think you have everything under control, while in reality you got nothing under control. You're lying to yourself constantly.
That's called self-motivation.
Constantly pretending everything is all right. And
I was motivating myself.
And then, also, as she very nicely and honestly describes, there's an epiphany, and she comes to a situation where the reality really hits her and forced her to change. And I think that's the great thing, and that's why I really liked what I read and recognized the person that I married and sits next to me, that there was this problem, and when she finally recognized what the problem was, just attacking it head on, that you don't stick your head in the sand, that you don't ignore it, you go, I have a problem, what can I do? What do I need to do to get out of it? What do I need to do to make myself a real success, a success in the real sense of the word, and make my business profitable?
No, and I don't think it's necessarily, I was very profitable. I just didn't manage my money. I didn't manage it. I made decisions that were unnecessary. I was careless with accounting for the money.
You had a lot of money coming in, but you were not profitable because the money that you made went right back out to cover your behind. So
now you can understand how our editing sessions go when he's editing the book.
That's the problem. And again, I think that's the essence of this book also, because you are shown that you realize that what you're doing is not really the reality. It's not really what you think you're doing. Her big thing is that a lot of estheticians are broke, are living broke, working broke, even though they don't think they are, until you finally sit down and do the numbers. Face it honestly, by yourself, for yourself, go, this is what actually comes in, this is what actually goes out. What am I doing, and how can I really do this better? And that's the big thing about this book, and that's why I was, very excited when I came to the conclusion and saw the very smart and very simple ways of how she solved her problem. That you have simple steps.
But I had a lot of problems. I think that's the thing that I was very, you would say I'm very honest in. I was saying it wasn't just the money aspect. It wasn't just that I didn't have money coming in. I had a lot of money coming in. I had a lot of money that touched my hands. I am very great at conversating with people and convincing them and discussing with them what they need to do when it comes to skincare concerns, waxing concerns, whatever. I just did not understand what I had, if that makes sense. I ignored it. I really never looked at bank statements. I didn't ever really look at my cash tips. I never looked at, and when I say look at it, like be accountable to it. Like I knew I could get probably $100 or $200 in tips a day, but that went into my wallet. I didn't allocate it to bills. I kept it in my wallet, so it was fast cash. And I think that's something that I was never accountable for. Rudi was my, I would say, second aha moment as far as being accountable for my money, because I was embarrassed. We were still dating at the time, and he was helping, were we dating? That was before we got married.
Yes.
And he had looked at the bank statement, and bank statements, especially with women, You don't look at my bank statement. You don't ask what transactions these are. You don't look at my credit card statements. You don't do that. But he had looked at it, and then he saw all of these overdraft fees, and then he saw the amount of money. And then when he was looking at all of the transactions, because we were getting ready to do our taxes. No, that was when we were already married. We got married in October. Next month is our anniversary. Yeah. So it had to been, so he saw all of them for every month, and he went through with a highlighter, and it was like thousands for every month that I was paying in overage fees and overdraft fees. And he was like, this is coming up to like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in overage fees. I was so embarrassed. And I was looking at him like, so?
Yeah, but not only just embarrassed, but also not really aware of it.
I wasn't either. I was just like, so? I mean, those are I can write it off. What do you mean? He's like, but you don't understand. Like, you have thousands of dollars that could have been in your pocket. What do you mean?
If I had hair, I would have ripped it out at that point.
Oh, he was so red. And I'm like, what? Why would you, what? And he's like, Stephanie, do you see? Like, he got a highlighter out. He made it a big deal. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. And you know me, my hackles got up, and I'm like, who the hell do you think you are coming into my business and looking at my stuff? But that was the slap that I needed, because it made me a lot more accountable for what touched my hands. Like, Norma's here, she's our bookkeeper, she's here doing stuff, and I even tell her sometimes I don't know, I don't really want to know, and I hate dealing with the money. Not to say that there's a lack of, but being responsible for it is what I needed to really understand. And I had worked this way, for years. So when he comes along and he's like, my husband is cheap. He is a budgeter. In our household, I don't take care of the bills, right? Right? So he has a monthly allocation list that he does every month, every date of every bill. He writes down how much he does. He has a space for extra paying for bills. When I met, he has an envelope that he puts all the bills into and staples that monthly balance sheet on front of the envelope. So when I meet him and we're moving, right, after we got married, he has files upon files of envelopes that have allocations and the bills actually in the envelope. Who does that? I don't do that. So now that we've been married, he doesn't deal with the business stuff. I have Norma for that. I just basically give her the bills and let her do that. But for our house, he does all of it. So to have someone like Rudi, who's so accountable for his pennies, literally, to look at my banking information and then call me on it, was like another even more jaunting slap in the face. So my hope and my wish is with me exposing my trials and disappointments and emotional responses to not only debt, not only the money, but really saying, how can I be profitable in a business that I see income come in daily, but then I don't have anything for myself? And that's something I was never taught. I was never taught how to, and it's not anything for my parents, but I mean, and with money in general, I was never taught that money is a powerful tool. You always hear that. People say money's powerful, money's powerful, money's powerful. I never understood how powerful it was until I didn't have any. And then when I had to be accountable for not having it. And then when I let my partner come in and I have to be accountable to him and say, and he's going through those bills. I mean, he's going through those and he's looking, oh my gosh, you're spending. And I'm like, but this is for business. I need my stuff. But he's like, but where does it go? Like, what?
Yeah, two things to that. For me, one of the big things are extra fees, like overdraft fees or late fees to a bank or a credit card. Why am I giving these people free money? I'm giving these people free money because I cannot be bothered to take a couple of minutes out of my day or my week to make sure that my bills are on time or that my cash flow is correct. Why am I giving you hundreds, in some cases thousands of dollars just because I don't have it like that. Nobody has it like that. So that's one of the things that was a big deal for me. But what it comes down to, if you really think about it, what it comes down to, you're getting into business because you want to make money. You want to make enough money to treat yourself to a better life. Meaning you want to have enough money to buy the things that you want, to live a lifestyle that you want, vacation, a nicer car, clothes, whatever it is. You don't want to come to a point where you have to, turn every penny twice before you spend it. And there are very easy, very not time consuming ways to do that. And that's, I think, what Stephanie came to the hard way. The extremely hard way. Mm-hmm. And that's the essence of this book. You want a better life. You chose to be an esthetician not because it's your calling only, but because you see it as making a better life for you and your family. And to have somebody give you an example, this is what I went through, these are the mistakes that I made. Do you recognize some of these in yourself? Here's the way out. Here are simple ways you can apply in your daily business, in your daily life, that will make your life better, that will make your business more profitable. And at the end of the day, you will have money to do all those things that you always dreamed of. And I think that's the essence of the book. And that's what I got very, very excited about when I read this.
Well, I think part of it,
and that's why I'm so proud of her that she came to that point. Sadly, she had to go through a long time of, fighting and clawing through that, but she came out, at the end of it, a winner.
I guess I got him from dealing with my mess, right? I guess that's how that kind of all works, is when you deal with your mess and my mess was, I think, the commonality that a lot of us have. We have a lot of mess. And I say it in the book, if you have money issues before you start your business, it will magnify.
But you don't but you don't need a savior. So I want to make that sure. You don't need a savior.
Oh, he didn't save me.
I didn't come in, I didn't come in as a, no, I just want to make that sure. Make it clear. I'm not, you don't need somebody from outside as a savior and, the
and
white
he didn't
knight.
come in and save
That's
anything.
That's not the point.
It was,
you can do it yourself.
And I did it myself, and he was not that savior. He just kind of helped me, push me past to just pay myself.
Yeah.
Like,
and now I'm just helping.
We're now way past that, but
yeah.
A lot of it has to do with his discipline. And I think that's something that I have to respect, because he has more discipline with money than I do. And it shows in the business. Since we partnered together in our business, as you guys can see, our business has taken off so fast because I have someone that I'm accountable to who, he lets me do what I want to do, but there's still accountability to it. My biggest thing was I can't have cash accessible to me because I'm going to spend it. And when I was going through this, I went through Dave, and I mentioned this in my book, that I went through Dave Ramsey's course, and his course says to get rid of all cards and to get rid of all debit cards, do everything cash. And I did that for a small point of time, and that's kind of how I got out of debt quicker. But I gave up having a debit card, because that was the other thing, even a business debit card. We don't have a business debit card. I stopped having a business debit card almost 2 years ago. Yeah. We stopped doing a business we don't have a debit card from our business account. We have no access to our business account. And that was more for me, not necessarily him, but that was more for me, so that I have to be accountable on how I spend it, which means I can't just directly spend it. Yes, we have a lot of money in the bank, but I can't directly spend it. I have to be accountable in ways that I spend it. So that's been something that has helped me be accountable, you know. And I think even for our income, we don't have a debit card. We don't. It's forcing me, and this is not Rudi's issue, and I don't think you did when we met, but we've never had a debit card. Like, we were very specific on what we spend our money on. And it's eye-opening, the things not only in Dave Ramsey's course, but in general. Many people say if you have access to it or you're not accountable to it, that's the whole allure of credit cards, is because there's no true accountability to it. You go, oh, I'll pay it later, I'll pay it later, I'll pay it later, but you don't really realize once you can't pay it later, or there is no more for you to spend, what do you do then? And that was a lesson that I learned very hard. And very quickly, that you can get in trouble with that. And sometimes you don't need to buy it. What are you buying it for? You know? And I'm hoping that, you know, when you guys actually get it and read it, that you become a lot more accountable for what you have, and it's not just money. You know, the things that we've done, because I've made money changes, obviously we pay ourselves. I've paid myself. I've had myself on payroll. I pay myself first. That's another thing that I'm very stickler about, is making sure that my income to my account has nothing to do with the business, because then I don't have to stress. I think giving myself the okay to have money on my own and not have to say, I got to put it back into the account. I got to put it back into the business account. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, it'll be okay. Because I have my own money. I can put gas in the car, I can buy groceries, I can pay rent, because I have money in my account. And that's what everyone should be striving to get to as a business owner, that it takes care of your livelihood, that you're able to live and do things the way you want, and it's not the other way around. A lot of us have businesses where it's the other way around. We've sacrificed our living expenses and we've sacrificed ourselves in order to save the business, not realizing that the business is there to make our livelihood. It's the other way around better.
And the thing is, once you have a realistic idea of where you are financially,
you got to be accountable. You got to look at the ugly, you know?
Yeah. But when you have a realistic grasp of what you're doing, what money you're actually really dealing with.
Right.
It's not a matter then of, I have to, you know, I can't live, I can't do those things. You know, we know exactly where our money is and what comes in. So you can go out to dinner.
Right.
When you know what, tonight we're going to go out to dinner.
And that's been Rudi's biggest thing.
We can go out to a movie. You
know, not changing our lifestyle whenever we have like a goal or things that we want to do. You know, it's just very assuring and understanding when you know that you're able to do this. My goal was always to share my struggle. I've shared my struggles for a long time. I've shared the struggles of aesthetics. I've shared the struggle of a solo esthetician. You know, yesterday I shared my struggle when I birthed my daughter and I went back to work a week later after a C-section. You know, I've been one that's wanted to share, because I find that in my sharing comes my healing as well, and my forgiving of myself, of making decisions, of doing things because I either didn't know or I ignored it, but having a learning lesson. You know, I would hate for someone to go through my journey and I sit back and watch people struggle when I could give insight to the same struggle. And I've struggled with money. I've struggled with understanding that just because you have people that come in and hand you money does not mean that you can go willy-nilly. You know, my husband will tell you, I live like I'm a millionaire. I do. Now, I may not have millionaire money in the bank yet, but I live like a millionaire. It's okay, baby. So with that kind of mentality, my, understanding is when money hits my hand, it's mine. But I don't really, I don't really understand, and I didn't understand the accountability of it to make all of this work. It's not mine. I get what I get, but I also have to be able to understand that I have to pay rent and employees and taxes and buy products and do all of this stuff. I'm included in the employee part. That's what I think I want people to get to understand. You have to be in there. You can't be without. I sacrificed for a long time to say I was in business when I really didn't have to. So a lot of the things that I'm giving you in the book are really simple things. You know, start putting yourself on a payroll. If you take a draw, you're going to pay yourself, a small amount of money every day. Be accountable for that. Give yourself a payday. Get money. Not what's left over, not tips, literally get money. It changes the way you feel. It changes the way you respond. A lot of us who are put everything into the business, we work from desperation. We work from stress. Like, oh God, okay, okay, I got a week till rent's due. Okay, so I'm going to throw this special out and hope that I get a whole bunch of people to come in to give me a whole bunch of money so that it lasts until the end of the month. There's a lot of us that do that. I used to be that way, But now that I take a step back and I look, I'm like, there's a better way to do it and still be able to have less stress, but still get what you need. And a lot of it is thinking too. I had to change the way I thought about money. I had to change the way I understood it. I had to change the way I spent it. I had to change the way I looked at something and said, ooh, I want that. Do I need it though? Do I really need it? Or do I just want it? And if I want it, what do I want it for?
And can I wait a month, 2 months, 3 months when I actually can afford it?
Right. It's just really changing the mindset. And I think, the book is very much not just to read. It's all inclusive. There's, workbooks. It's kind of like a workbook book. So I have, tables and graphs and things for you to fill out and, be accountable for. And what do you want to do? I have, challenges that you need to write down. I'm always an encourager of a journal, thank you. So I'm telling you to, write this down. What did you do last week? Be accountable for it. This is what you took home. This is what you paid yourself. Could you improve it? When do you improve it? When do you pay yourself more? I really give you simple steps, but things to write down and do it. And then once you do it, what do you feel? How are you? What do you think about it? It was a difficult. I've been writing this book, I would say almost 2 months. And when I would get to the emotional or more revealing parts of it, my husband can tell because I would go and call him and he'd be like, aren't you supposed to be writing? I'm like, yeah. And then I'll hang up and then I'll call him back like 2 minutes later. He's like, I thought you were writing. And I'm like, I am, but, and really when I would call him more was because I was revealing so much and I had to take my mind back to what I was thinking at that time and really be in the moment. And that's a hard thing to do, because it's emotion driven. A lot of the decisions I made were emotional decisions. They weren't really smart, thought out, planned decisions. It was very emotional. So I had to put my mind back into that emotional state of, then I was a single mom. I had a young baby and I, just did foolish decisions, and I touch a little bit about that on the book too, about just emotions and what is tied to our decisions. How do we make decisions based off of emotions? Because we want something, but we don't necessarily need it. And we don't want to take the time to understand why we want it.
And that's why in this book, again, one of the biggest things is that you get a guide. You get a guide from somebody who lived it. And literally every word, every phrase, every page, it comes through to you that this is somebody who lived it, came out at the other end, and it's taken you by the hand and goes, this is what worked for me.
Yeah.
This is what worked for me. This is exactly step by step what I did. This is what worked. There's no secret formula. I'm telling you, I'm laying myself bare. I'm telling you exactly how I got myself into this mess, but also how I got out. and try this, worked for me.
See if it is applicable for you.
Yeah, and I think that's why this is a great read. It's not a huge tome. You're not going to sit there for a week reading 600 pages, but it is relevant. It's really, really relevant for anybody who is in business. Not just estheticians, by the way.
Right.
Not just estheticians. Anybody who's in business, who's an entrepreneur, who has a small business or a startup, can learn from these experiences, can recognize themselves in what Stephanie went through, and apply the steps that she gives. And that's what you get out of this.
I always look at it, and when he was reading it, I always be like, okay, so what do you think about that? And he was like, okay, it was good. I'm like, okay, so what did you really think about the book now that you're reading it? Did I reveal anything that kind of struck a chord with you when you first met me?
No, not when I first met you. I mean, I didn't know anything about that. I knew a little bit after a while, but not in the beginning.
Would that have changed?
But it explains a lot. Let's go with that.
What does it explain?
It explains a lot about how you are, because it shows me where you're coming from. That makes me understand more your relationship with money. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we work so well, because we come from very different outlooks.
Rudi is, in his mind, $2 away from us being homeless. That's how he lives every day. Me, I live like I'm a millionaire. Now, I don't have it yet, but I live like that every day. And I think that's our balance. But I really wanted...
And just in a second, just for you to understand it, when she says she lives like a millionaire, that doesn't mean she's throwing money out the window every day, lighting cigars with $100 bills. No. What she's talking about is the attitude.
Right.
Very important. The attitude of being a millionaire. Mm-hmm. Just make that.
And there are things that I buy that millionaires buy. I mean, someone still needs to buy my perfume. It's just because it's $400 doesn't mean you don't need to buy it. Don't think I forgot. Mm-hmm. I have the card of the lady. She waiting for you at the
thing. Mm-hmm.
At the place.
At the place.
And that's, I think, at what is it at? Not Nordstrom's. What is it? Saks Fifth Avenue. Yes, mm-hmm. She's waiting for you.
Yeah. Halfway there already. Yeah.
But no, guys, I wanted to come on and just share this with you and get your point of view from my husband's point of view. He has been editing. This is our second draft. We're almost done. We're hoping that in the next few days you guys will see me do a blast, and it'll be available. The ebook will be available first, and then we will have it come out in print. I'm hoping to actually be able to sign copies at the Face and Body show in Atlanta, which will be nice. You guys can come on and I can do a signature and whatever you want for that. But you'll be starting to see a little bit more information come out and links for you to purchase. And like I said, this is a series of 6. I do have 5 more coming out. And they're really just basically game plans. They're really plans for you to be successful. And I really want to hit on the most important, topics. A lot of it is not only just being a business owner, but it's also, being able to understand how I've maneuvered. And I'm really showing how I've maneuvered in this industry, stayed relevant, been able to be an esthetician, but also be that, 7-figure esthetician that really understands how I can do multiple things and still love skin. And that's kind of what I want to show, because I think, with a lot of estheticians who are wanting to start, making their own stuff and starting to sell what they make and stuff like that. That's all well and good, but there's like different ways that you can be very profitable, especially with retail. And I've thought about this for my next one, is just explaining how I picked labs and how I started creating and how I started getting products from basic ingredients and testing them and trying them and then bringing them to market. There's a lot of successful estheticians who go directly to consumers, but they use all of the platforms to go directly to consumers. YouTube is one of the biggest platforms right now for you to capitalize on. You capitalize that with eBay or Amazon and you have a full formula. So that's my next tackle. I got to recover from this and then dive back in again, but it's been fun. So
and the nice thing is what you get from Stephanie. Anybody who's ever seen any of her talks, ever met her in person, I think the thing that I'm proudest of, or that I think is the most amazing thing, is that you have a business owner, a trailblazer, that in the truest sense of the word, that is very, very different from what you get from other people. Because in every business, or in most businesses, from somebody who's successful, you get the attitude of, I got mine, I'm pulling up the ladder, I don't care about anybody else or who's coming up. I got mine, and I don't want to tell you how to do this or give you the secrets, or I'll tell you a couple things and make tremendous money off of that by lying to you. This is very, very, very different, because by Stephanie telling you, this is what I went through, this is how to do it, this is how I did it, and there shouldn't be a reason why you cannot
do it too.
Be successful or cannot do it. That sets her apart from, I think, a lot of other successful people, because she realizes that success is not like pie. Just because you got a slice doesn't mean that everybody else gets less. That's not how that works.
No, especially not in America.
That's not how this works. You have somebody who's successful, there's room for everybody.
Right.
There's room for everybody to find this niche, or to find their way to success. And Stephanie will very honestly tell you, this is how she did it. Follow this, and it's going to work for you. And I think that's the thing that I'm really, really proud of, that she has no problem in sharing and giving back, because that's what this is. If you think about it.
Well, my husband is, he is of the school of, even now, I probably work all the time. And he's like, who are you talking to? Or what are you showing? Or you're doing something again. And I'm a true believer that you give what you get. You got to give in order to get. It doesn't work where you just get. And I have really given a lot. And I get irritated sometimes when I have estheticians that expect from me, because they feel that I've given and they can come and ask, for even more. Now, sometimes I cut it off now. I cut it off. But for the most part, I am about giving. I truly believe that you give more than you get. I give a lot. So I'm excited for you guys to read it. We're going to sign off and go back to work now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I got to crack that whip. Got to go back to work. Thank you, baby, for being my book editor.
You're welcome.
It was difficult. It's not grammatically correct. Yes, it is. Like, we're arguing over the title. I want to say pay me. He's saying pay yourself. Pay me.
Not
see?
correct.
You see what I'm saying? Like, when you say pay me.
When you say pay me, you're talking about somebody paying you. Your whole thing is pay myself. That you want to get across to other estheticians, they should pay themselves.
Pay me. Well, you'll see when it comes out what we decided on. We're still arguing over the title. So, all right, guys.
Pay yourself.
Until next time, pay me.
Pay yourself.
Pay me. Bye.